Peace be upon you, brothers and sisters. This is Said Mirza from MillionaireReason.com. In today's video, I wanted to look at chapter 23 of the Qur'an. This chapter is titled The Believers, and I'm going to be reading from reader.quranite.com, so you can go on their website and read this chapter for yourself. It's a very interesting chapter because it has to do with the criteria of success. Now, obviously, the day and age we live in, the criteria of success is the criteria which has always been the criteria throughout the ages, which is the acquisition of material possessions, and namely the increase in wealth and children. Now, the reason I wanted to look at this theme and this chapter specifically is because the Quran gives us the criteria, and the criteria of success is not the acquisition of material things. The criteria is completely different, and those people who do not have knowledge, they unfortunately, in their confusion, running after things, devoting their time and energy about things which eventually they will lose. That's the fact. God says that we are the inheritors, and that you will come to us alone, and that good deeds, they are the only course of recourse. They are the things that we should put our hope in, not wealth, not children, because these are all worldly things. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be reading chapter 23, not the whole chapter, but bits and pieces of it to kind of show you what the success is according to Quran. And I think it's a very illuminating chapter. You will get a lot out of it. So the chapter starts out with, successful are the believers, those who in their duty are humble. This word duty, which Brother Gerrans is translating the word salat as duty. If you want to take the sort of the old-fashioned traditionalist approach, the word is prayer. Regardless, it means the same thing, that they are in their worship and they are humble towards God, because that's what the core of a duty of a believer is, that he is worshiping God. So those who in their duty are humble, these are the successful. The criteria is what? That they are believers. That is, they believe in God in the last day. Not that they subscribe to a religion called Islam, but they believe in God in the last day in the truest sense of the word. And they are humble in their worship, in their prayer, in their duty to God. And those who from vain speech turn away. So they don't engage in pointless debates and arguments or storytelling, etc. And those who act upon the purity. Now, what does that mean? That means that they are acting in accordance with increasing their purity. It said in the Quran that he fails who buries it. It's talking about the soul, and he succeeds who purifies it. Talking about the soul. So the motivation for them from doing any deed is always about increasing their taqwa, their fear of God, their purity. And those who preserve their chastity. So obviously now this encompasses the complete. It encompasses all the transgressions that we have currently. Sex outside of marriage, fornication, masturbation. This is all encompassing here, that they preserve their chastity. Save with their wives or what their right hands possess, then are they not blameworthy. So this is the only two exclusions. And again, the idea of a wife is obviously someone who you are married to legally. And right hands possess is someone who you have control over, usually translated as slaves or captives of war, etc. In this day and age, obviously, you don't have that anymore. So we're just going to set that aside. Then are they not blameworthy? But whoso seeks beyond that, it is they who are the transgressors. So the Quran is very clear on this, that this is the sexual modesty and keeping away from perversions. This is a central requirement, and it also puts a threat in here that whoso seeks beyond that, they are the transgressors. And those who attend to their trusts and their covenants. Obviously, this needs no explaining. And those who preserve their duties. Now, here we have the duties, the salat in plural form, which encompasses now everything that was just discussed earlier. These are all duties of a believer. It is they who are the heirs, those who inherit paradise, therein will they abide eternally. So this is the if you will. This is the summary of the success and the criteria for success. And as you can see, it's nothing to do with accumulation of wealth or accumulation of power, or what people consider that in this day and age, the social media sort of like who's getting the most likes or who is the most popular. Nothing to do with that. Anyway, then the chapter goes on to discuss other matters, so I'm not going to go into that. But I want to come back to this idea of success because it's threaded into this whole chapter. So we're going to start here. And this is interesting here. We're going to be going over verse 32 because, again, this is talking about those people who are considered as successful in the worldly life. So verse 32 continues on with, "And we sent among them a messenger from among them, serve God, and you have no God but he. Will you then not be in prudent fear? And said the eminent ones of his people, those who ignored warning and denied the meeting of the hereafter, and to whom we had given opulence in the life of this world. This is only a mortal like you. He eats of that whereof you eat, and drinks of that you drink. And if you obey a mortal like yourselves, you will then be the losers. Does he promise you that when you are dead and are dust and bones, you will be brought forth? Far-fetched is what you are promised. There is only our life of this world. We die and we live, and we will not be raised up. He is only a man who invented a lie about God, and we will not believe him." So you see the contradiction here. The believers are those who believe. And what do they believe in specifically? They believe in God and the last day, and the day that men will be paid in full for their deeds. And here the eminent ones who were considered successful in this life, they had been given opulence, they had been given wealth. They outright denied this idea, this truth actually, and their only argument was that this is far-fetched, and the man who's bringing this message is just a mortal, and that we will not be raised up. So then it starts, it just goes on to say what happened to them. The blast seized them with justice, and God made them as decaying herbage, then away with the wrongdoing people. So it's recounting the stories about the previous people who denied the messengers of God and said that they will not be punished, that they were destroyed. But this is the worldly life. But we're gonna cut to the hereafter as well, to because the Qur'an is giving you the future, what's going to happen in the future as well. This is a book of knowledge. So this is the warning that this will come to pass. So, take heed from this. So let's continue on in this chapter. Okay. Now here's where the theme about the successful again picks up. Okay, we're going to go from verse 51. "O you messengers, eat of the good things and work righteousness. I know what you do." See, working righteousness and eating of the good things of God. Don't deny yourself the bounties of God. It's not asceticism that the Quran is calling towards, but the path of moderation. "And this your community is one community, and I am your Lord. So be in prudent fear of me." So fear God. One community means that we are not to tear ourselves apart in sects, which is what the Muslims have done, by the way. And not even the Muslims, the Christians, the Jews, they've all done the same thing. Okay, so now it's talking about those people who have split themselves into sects. "But they divided their command among them into writings, each party exulting at what it has." You have, in the case of the Muslims, the hadith literature, which is exactly what that is. They have divided their command into writings. The Shias have their writings, and the Sunnis have their writings, and that's what they're really following. They're not really following the Quran. So here we come back to that theme about success. "So leave thou them in their flood of ignorance for a time. Think they that in the wealth and sons wherewith we supply them, we hasten for them good things? The truth is they perceive not." Okay, so this is their flood of ignorance. They believe because they are being gifted in this life with wealth and children with opulence, that they are favored by God, and God is supplying them with the good things, and He's hastening for them the good things, which means that they're probably doing the right thing, right? This is their ignorance. But what the truth is that they perceive not. What do they not perceive? They do not perceive that this is not the case, that this is actually a trial for them. Anyway, coming back to this idea, what do they not perceive? They do not perceive that the criteria of success is is not that the acquisition of material possessions. It is, we start with, those who are from fear of their Lord in dread, and those who believe in the proofs of their Lord, and those who ascribe not a partnership to their Lord, and those who give what they give with their hearts in dread that they are returning to their Lord. Those compete in good deeds, and they are forerunners therein. And we burden not any soul save to its capacity, and with us is a writ which speaks the truth, and they will not be wronged. So this is the criteria of success. As I said earlier, successful other believers. Again, it's giving you further clarification on, what the actions are, and those competing in the good deeds, what those good deeds are. See, they're giving their wealth in charity, and only for seeking the countenance of God. These people, these believers, and those who believe in the proofs of their Lord, they believe in the Quranic guidance. Those who do not ascribe any partnership to their Lord, so they do not include Prophet Muhammad's name while invoking God or sending blessings to the messenger. These are all things that the Muslims are doing right now. I just want to clarify. So don't think that, converting to Islam is what the Quran is talking about here. The believers are a separate category. And above all, they fear their Lord. Okay? They fear their Lord in the unseen. So now we come back to that. The truth is they perceive not. In verse 63. The truth. What do they not perceive? Their hearts are in a flood of ignorance about this, and they have works besides that which they are doing. What is their hearts in a flood of ignorance about the evildoers? That, they are being given wealth and children, and they think that they are favored. So they are in confusion. And they have works besides that which they are doing, as in they're doing more evil works. They already have all this, wrath from God stored up, for which they will be repaid in full on the day of judgment. But on top of it, they are continuing to wander blindly in their transgressions, and their deeds are made fair to them. So finally, what happens with them? What happens with them is what happened with all the generations before. When we have seized their opulent ones with punishment, then will they cry out. Cry not out this day, you will not be helped by us. Now this word, al-yawm, this day, if you remember in the Quran, the day is the day of judgment. This is the day, So when God will seize them for their punishment, because obviously there are no messengers and no prophets coming here, so whatever is going to happen will be the final hour. This is when the evildoers will be taken into account. So on that day they will cry out, and God will say, my proofs were recited to you, and you turned back therefrom on your heels, waxing proud thereat, talking to no purpose into the night. This has the obviously referral to the beginning, where it says that, successful are the believers, that those who are humble in their duty, and those who turn away from vain speech. So these people, they're wasting their time talking nonsense, attending parties or functions or social events, or just planning. So finally, we get to the conclusion of the matter, which is what? Which is the day of judgment. Because like I said, the Quran is giving you a preview of the day of judgment, which is to come, which is to pass. And these events have already unfolded in a sense, because God is the all-knowing. He knows the future, he knows the past, and so he is giving you of his knowledge, in order that you might take heed, really. So where does this happen? This happens on the seizing, right? What is the seizing? The seizing is the day when you will die. Really, if you think about it, a day of judgment, it says that they think it is far off, but we see it as near, because the day of judgment for everyone starts when they die, which is actually pretty close. You think about it, a lot of people are dead, and you will certainly die, not tomorrow or day after tomorrow, maybe after 10 years, or maybe next minute. You don't know. So for you, when you die, the day of judgment has started. Think about it when you go to sleep and you wake up in the morning. You don't know that 8-10 hours have elapsed, but they have. So literally that's what it's going to be when you die. Then it's game over for you, and then you will be raised up on the day of judgment. Okay, so verse 99 is where it picks up. When death has come to one of them, he says, "My Lord, send thou me back." Who is this? The person saying these are the opulent ones. These are the ones who denied in the proofs of their Lord, and they were wasting their time, literally wasting their time in acquiring the material resources, which now everything has been taken from them. To continue, that I might work righteousness in what I left behind. No, indeed, it is but a word that he says, and behind them is a barrier until the day they are raised. And now this is the day they are raised, because now it's over. Whatever they have done, their book is closed. And when the trumpet is blown, then no ties of kinship are between them that day, nor will they ask one of another. Then whose balances are heavy, it is they who are the successful. See, the theme again of the chapter, if you look at it closely, it's about talking about definition of what success is. So those people, the believers, they are the successful because their balances are heavy with good deeds. That's what matters. And whose balances are light, those are they who have lost their souls in Gehenna, abiding eternally, in hell, abiding eternally. The fire scorching their faces, and their scowling therein. Were not my proofs recited to you, and you denied them? They will say, Our Lord, our wretchedness overcame us, and we were a people astray. Our Lord, turn thou us therefrom. If we return, then are we wrongdoers. He will say, Be despised therein, and speak not to me. A faction among my servants said, Our Lord, we believe, then forgive thou, and have mercy on us, and thou art the best of those who have mercy. Then you took them in derision until they made you forget my remembrance, and you laughed at them. See, vain speech. I have rewarded them this day for their patience. They are the attainers of success. And finally, I think this is worthy of inclusion, verse 115. Thought you that we created you for amusement, and that to us you would not be returned? And exalted be God, the true King. There is no God save he, the Lord of the noble throne. And whoso calls with God to another God, whereof he has no evidence, then his reckoning but with his Lord. And the false claimers of guidance will not be successful. And say thou, My Lord, forgive thou, and have thou mercy, and thou art the best of those who have mercy. So, obviously, I skipped over a lot of chapter 23. I suggest you read it for yourself and try to look at it from the perspective of it's talking about the believers and the criteria for success, which is unfortunately in the day and age, this whole concept that the doing of good deeds, specifically giving in charity, and believing in God's proofs and fearing God and preserving to your duties. This is forgotten, or has been made to, people have been made to forget this actually, and they are all chasing after these vain desires, these false illusions, wasting their time on Netflix or TikTok or just basically stuff that has no relevance to the balance of good deeds, which is ultimately what we will be judged upon. And if you want to safeguard yourself and your family from the fire, then it's time to pay heed to God's words, and do not forget his remembrance, and be in fear of him as much as you can, and work on gaining taqwa, gaining righteousness, gaining fear of God, and doing the good deeds that God has commanded. This is the only criteria for success according to the Creator of the heavens and the earth. God willing, until next time, peace and blessings be upon you.